Eric Holder's a bad guy.
And what President Obama has done with this executive.
Well, the thing is, when you claim executive privilege, it goes against what you said previously, that you had no knowledge or no interaction with Fast and Furious. You wouldn't claim executive privilege unless there was something that you were trying to prevent getting out. So again, I mean, as the gentleman said back there, I mean, we keep getting the gifts from this president, but we have to go on offense to be able to exploit these gifts that are given. Not in a very visceral way, but just presenting what is going on. I mean, a Border Patrol agent lost his life. Hundreds of Mexicans have lost their lives. And when you really understand what Fast and Furious is about, it's about the left trying to attack Second Amendment rights. Okay, they're trying to, flood weapons from America into Mexico to say that gun stores and gun dealers are providing weapons to the Mexican drug cartels, so that then that gives them the right to constrain our Second Amendment rights. This is backfiring, and this goes very deep. Eric Holder's a bad guy. Think about in February 2009, Eric Holder said, America's a nation of cowards.
Yep.
Think about the new Black Panther voter. He said in February 2009 that America's a nation of cowards. The new Black Panther voter intimidation case. We have an attorney general that is, bringing lawsuits against sovereign states left and right. When you go into the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, and Article 4, Section 4 declares the federal government's responsibility for what the founding fathers called repel invasions. That was the terminology that they used to protect your borders. In Article 1, Section 10, it talks about how the states have the right to protect their citizens as sovereign states if the federal government fails to own up to their responsibility.
Will they be able to go if Obama now he owns it?
This is the issue. If we pass the contempt of court, it's not going to go anywhere. It's finished. And at the most, what can happen is, once again, you get the district judge out of Washington, D.C., who answers to the Department of Justice, will be the one put in charge of conducting an investigation. And that's what we call in the military a self-licking ice cream cone.
I have one question. We're in a war in the United States and the West with fires. Now, I understand that the National Guard has tanker planes that we could be using to help put those fires out, and the Department of Defense or the President said no. What the hell's going on?
I cannot answer that. Now, the President or the Department of Defense should not tell a state's National Guard that they can't use their own resources. So, because the person in charge of the National Guard is the governor of that state. So, if the state of Arizona has these water tankers that can help with the forest fires out there, they should be able to use that. Now, I will tell you this, when I was at Fort Riley, Kansas, and they had forest fires, we did get some units that were activated to go out and help as far as firefighting. I don't know if that is something that's been blocked, but you bring up a point that I'll ask when I get back on Tuesday.
How can we help make sure you get reelected?
Well, prayer is always great. Let me tell you about our race. As you know, I represent right now Congressional District 22, which is Broward and Palm Beach County. Through the redistricting process, I'll be shifting a little further north. I will have the northern part of Palm Beach County, Martin County, and St. Lucie County, which is called the Treasure Coast. It is what is an R+1 district, which means there's a 1% advantage of registered Republicans over Democrats. And even the Democrats in that area are kind of like the old Dixiecrats. So they're not the real way out wacky, lefties that you all know are down in Broward County and further down south. So I'm not concerned about the individual that it looks like the Democrat's going to have running against me. He's a 29-year-old CPA that has worked in his father's company. In 2003, somehow he got a drunken disorderly and had a fake ID at some bar down on South Beach. In 2003, it was the exact same year I was commanding a battalion in combat. That's a good one.
Then still, how do we get you to be vice president?
I got a great job. I speak for the American people. And this
How
is.
about president?
You know, this right here, that's your congressional voting card. That's the voice of 700 to 750,000 Americans, South Floridians. And the fact that I carry this around, I mean, do you understand how great a country this is? If you go back to the neighborhood where I was brought up and raised, and I could stand here in front of you all, I mean, Sandy Springs was like a foreign country to us. And I'm standing here before you with a voting card of a United States representative. This is a great thing. And we have to also understand that the House of Representatives is the people's house. You want people that are up there reflecting your principles and your values and to be your voice. America is a republic. And it being a republic, that means it's the rule of law, our Constitution, and it's the individual sovereignty that makes us great. So it's not about the president or a vice president. It's about you all and the power of the voice that you have. Now, you know, if God means for me to have a higher position in this country, it'll happen. Because, you know, 5 years ago, where was I? I was in the desert of Kandahar, Afghanistan, training Afghan soldiers. So my thing, I'm not worried about being obedient to man. I'm worried about being obedient to God.
Let's take maybe two more questions, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, you're picking, because I'm not getting into this fight.
What about the leaks?
Horrible. The leaks that are coming out from this administration are horrible. Think about, I'll give you a great example. How many people seen the movie Active Valve? Great movie, right? Now, I tell you, the scenario of that movie you should be very concerned about, because that's not a far-fetched scenario. But this is my concern about Active Valve. We have now shown the tactics, techniques, and procedures of our Navy SEALs to the world.
Yep.
Why? I mean, because these are men that are still going out there having to hunt down bad guys. And now they kind of understand how they operate, which is how the Pakistani ISI was able to piece together all the things that this administration was saying and talking about, and they figured out who that doctor was. And now he's sitting in a prison for 33 years. He's not going to, you know, if he sees 6 months, if he sees, that'll be great. But who is going to step up to support us and to help us? If we know that, remember in World War II, loose lips sink ships? If they see that this administration does not honor secrets, they do not honor any type of respectful relationship with our allies. Think about the double agent in Yemen who provided us the information about the bomb attacks that were going to come on airplanes. And now he's running for his life. So, you know, they don't really understand national security. They don't understand operational security. And once again, this is another nail in the coffin that the American people got to make this decision. They really do. We don't. I always say that was the voice of God. But it's just the same as about 3 months ago. The Washington Post put out an article that showed the capabilities of our bunker busters initiative, the current ones and the next generation. So as we continue to stall and Iran gets more time, they know the thickness that they have to have. They know the depths that they have to go down to. And we're shooting ourselves in the foot. Absolutely. There are things that the American people don't need to know.
Amen, yep.
You know, once upon a time, no one knew that SEAL Team 6 even existed. Now you go to D.C. Reagan Airport, they got T-shirts that say U.S. Navy SEALs, Team 6. Those guys are not supposed to be known. Dr. Bless.
The people that surround the president, like Valerie Jarrett. If you want to get to see the president, you have to go through her.
Yeah, look, everyone, and that's the frustrating point even for members, you know, of my colleagues on the Democrat side. They don't have a relationship with the president. The president has this very close circle of rigid ideologues. Valerie Jarrett is definitely one of them. Axelrod is another. And he's focused on one simple thing. And I gotta tell you, the money goes right back to George Soros.
Yep.
No doubt about it. So you're not going up against the president in this election. You're going up against a machine. And that's why, you know, in 2010 we did something that really pissed them off. We had a better grassroots and ground game than they had. That's where you all came in. That's what, Chuck was talking about, the grassroots, getting out there, knocking on the doors, making the phone calls, showing yourselves. We can't fall off of that, because the money that they're raising, that's what it's gonna go to. It's gonna go to get buses and neighborhoods, to get people out and do that thing. When you turn on your computer, you go to any internet site, you got all those Obama banner ads popping up all of it. It is that sensory bombardment which is happening. Now, the good thing is that you have a president that has an incredible ego, and he's a narcissist. He can't stay off television. And the more he's on television, the more people say, what is he doing? Okay, what is he talking about? So his advisors, no, they can't pick. Bill Clinton in 1994, when he lost those midterm elections, Bill Clinton wanted to stay president. And so he pivoted. He worked with Republicans. We have welfare reform. We reduced the size and scope of government. We went from a deficit to a surplus. Now, everyone talks about Clinton. It was the people on the legislative side that enabled him to do that. This president did not get the memo. Okay. And so he has tripled down. And he's a rigid ideologue. And look, as I said, you can call it communist, socialist, Marxist, progressive, statist, whatever. It's about nationalizing production. It's about creating and expanding a welfare state. It's about this ideal of social utopia, of fairness, fair shot, economic equality. And it really is about creating a secular state. This whole thing was not about contraception. It was really about redefining what a religious organization is in the United States of America. That's scary. That is very scary. They're starting to control the schools. The Federal Reserve is out of control. And they're talking about increasing taxation on production, which is, in 1913, when Woodrow Wilson did that, prior to that, we taxed consumption. And the income tax in 1913 was only supposed to be temporary and was never supposed to go higher than 6%. This is the fourth progressive administration of the United States of America. Wilson, Roosevelt, Johnson, Obama. You think about what came after each one of those administrations. Okay.
Unfortunately, Congressman West has another event that he has to get to, so we have to end the meeting now.
When do I have to get to where?
You have to be there at 5 o'clock, and you're about 15, 20 minutes away.
Okay, so we can go 5 more minutes.
Colonel West.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wondered, what do you think about Bill Clinton saying we have 6 months to save our country?
The Clintons don't like them. Okay, they really don't. I mean, once upon a time they called Bill Clinton, the first black president. So he wants to keep that message. Really and truthfully, what you're looking at could be the destruction of the Democrat Party. Okay, and there are people that are out there that are Democrats. They're not liberal progressives, and this makes them very. Ed Rendell, the former governor of Pennsylvania, is another one. There are a lot of folks that are speaking out, and so they threw Clinton under the bus, and he's also wants to set it up for his wife. She's not done yet.
Yeah.
She's not done yet. Laura.
Hall County is at the northern eastern tip of the Metro Atlanta area. Could you explain to our groups a little bit about Ashley Bell?
Oh, Hall County, Ashley Bell, County Commissioner up there. Ashley Bell, if you don't know, young African-American, he and his wife were delegates for Obama in 2008, and they switched their party to Republican. He was just up on our forum last week, Monday. Fantastic young man. I mean, you're talking about the future of this country. And even if you look over at Alabama, former member of Congress Arthur Davis, African-American, just changed party from Democrat to Republican. It's starting to happen. Okay, now, and like I said, you're not going to go from 96%, down to 50% overnight. But if you go from 96% to 80% for the next election, it's a huge step. I mean, they will be writing about that. And there's a great book out there called Capital Men, because remember, the first blacks in the House and Senate were Republicans.
Right.
And really, the civil rights legislation in 1964 would not have passed if it were not for Senator Everett Dirksen and Republicans, because Al Gore's dad was against it, Robert Byrd was against it. You know, and so, you know, we've got to go back and reclaim that history. And this past February, I gave a special order, 1-hour speech on the House floor during Black History Month, talked about, from that period, Reconstruction on, the relationship between blacks and the Republican Party in this country to get the truth out there. So people starting to wake up, especially young blacks, because they don't see a future. They, you know, the neighborhood that I grew up, they don't want to go there. They want to have economic prosperity. They want to have economic freedom, not economic dependence. So that's what we have to continue to talk about.
Question back here.
Do you really think Obama's naive, because you said so at the beginning of your talk? And number two, do you think the military in Egypt is going to give in to the brotherhood?
Well, two things. I think that there is a sense of naivete with the president, but I also believe that he knows what he's doing. There's a rigid ideology there. You elected to be president the most liberal senator that we have known, more liberal than John Kerry, you know, Ted Kennedy, whomever. So he knows what he's doing. Now, as far as the military in Egypt, you know, they're going to do what it takes to survive. Okay, if you saw that crowd that was gathered in Tahrir Square, military ain't in control right now. Okay, and let me tell you how they operate in that part of the world. Nobody wants to wake up with their head in their lap. Okay, that's the thing. The Muslim Brotherhood is incredibly powerful. They're a powerful political machine, and 70+% of Egyptians voted for them and the Salafists. So those rank and file guys in the military, they're going to turn over. Now, the generals who may have come over here to be educated in our schools or whatever, you know, they're going to see that. And they're going to understand the danger that could be to their families. And that's how they do business over there. That's why I said, need to cut it off. Until they show that they're going to not be who we know that they are, we should not do it. Remember they had 19 hostages, you know, Rachel Hood, they had the Secretary of Traffic. American people didn't realize, you know, State Department wrote a $5 million check to the Muslim Brotherhood. And that's how those 19, you didn't hear about that. That's how those 19.
They don't consider them terrorists.
And that is called, if you understand, that's called jizya, the jizya payment. That's a reflection of your submission. Okay, you gotta read, you gotta study. You know, Robert Spencer has great books out there to read and study that mindset and that mentality. They see us right now as what they call demis, a submissive group. We just can't be, yeah, demi dummies. You can't do that.
One last question over here, Blake.
Colonel West, I've read about the Homeland Security procuring 500,000 rounds.
I gotta look into that. Yeah, I've heard that in the last couple of weeks several times, so now we'll look into it.
And I've also heard that Obama has put his people in such a place in Homeland Security. Because one of the things he said when he ran the first time, he wanted his own security force in the United States.
Yeah, he wanted a military force equal, yeah. So, you know, now that I've heard it several times, I don't believe it's a, you know, the conspiracy thing. I will go back and look and see, you know, ask the question of the Homeland Security Committee, you know, has there been an increase in, you know, rounds being procured? Because a lot of people are very nervous about, you know, martial law and things of that nature. You know.
Would you put it on your website when you find out information?
Sure. And another thing, I know a lot of people have been concerned about voting machines being bought. That's not the case. There is a Spanish company that did buy a Tampa-based company in Florida, and what they actually do, they tabulate results, and they just get results out to counties a little bit quicker. But the point is this: there is such a level of fear and paranoia in our country. I don't think I've seen in my 51 years of life. That's what really makes me upset. You know, a leader is supposed to lead and instill confidence and confidence in the people that he's been chosen to lead. Right now, you know, America is like I said, it's being balkanized, and they do that so that they can pit groups against each other. Hope and change is now what I call divide and rule. We got to be very careful about this. So again, thank you so much for having me.